Hi, everybody, and welcome to She Inspires with RSM, the space where real stories meet healing, growth, and purpose. Today's conversation is quite a sensitive one, but very necessary. We are talking about absentee fathers, not from a place of blame, but from a place of understanding truth and healing. For many women, the absence of a father is not just physical, but spiritual and emotional and even mental, affecting identity, relationships, self-worth, and how we see love and authority. Today, I have with me a very beautiful girly girl, and she is in the person of Irabana Akwe. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Becca.
Thank you so much for honoring my invitation.
Thank you for having me here.
I can't believe I work with this lady, and I can't believe I'm interviewing her for the first time. We've never really met, when it comes to work.
Right.
Our works have never been intertwined.
Exactly. I think it's because I'm in the newsroom and you are in the studio.
Please give us a little background of yourself. Tell us who you are. Who are you? Tell them who you are.
Who am I? My name is Irabana Akwe. I'm from Cape Coast, and I am a Miss 20-something. And what am I passionate about? I think I love music, I love fashion. Everybody can attest to that. And this year I'm taking up more speaking roles. I also have a hair business. I'm into fashion.
We have an official sponsor for
fashion
hair.
photography. And yeah, that's about it. I'm a reporter, by the way, in the newsroom.
Yeah. If you're not careful, she reports everything that you do in this house and everywhere she finds you. Once again, thank you so much for honoring this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I want us to talk about something that's really sensitive, something that we never really talk about as young people, especially as young women. The absence of a father and how it affects our daily lives, especially our relationships, not with just the people we fall in love with, but with people in general, men in general. And when I mentioned this in a conversation about 2 weeks ago, you mentioned the relationship you have with your father. And I really thought we could talk about it and also share experiences, because you're not the only one. I also lost my dad, so that also counts as a father being absent.
Yes.
So it's not just about a father, upping and running, but also, losing a father and how it affects your daily life. Please tell us your story.
Okay, so when we talk about an absent father, I think, as you said, your dad wasn't around, not because he didn't want to be around, but
I lost
because,
him, yeah.
So for most of us, it's surprising how many young people of today have absent fathers. And sometimes I'm curious what actually happened back then. Like, what is wrong with our fathers? But then, I mean, at the end of the day, their reward or judgment is not
between them and God.
Right. That's why he said it's not from a place of blame. But then, like you mentioned, it really affects every aspect of your life. When you're growing up, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately for me, I attended some of the very good schools in Cape Coast. I am from Cape Coast, by the way. And, when it's PTA or even every day when you're coming to school, some people's parents will bring them to school, their dads will drive them to school and all of that. That is where it begins to affect you from. And around that time, I think I opened up to somebody and I told them, oh, this is what's going on with me. My dad is not really in my life. And my mom is not, like, it's around the same thing. And in the beginning, they believed me. But I don't know if they were thinking maybe if that was the case, why could I afford to be in that school or something like that? So it got to a time they were saying I'm lying and my parents are probably abroad and they're taking care of me. So that kind of made me stop talking about it. And another reason why I stopped talking about it when I started growing, when I became a teenager, was the fact that I realized it affected even how I related to people. So I didn't want it to affect my lifestyle so much. On top of it being emotional, whenever I think about it, I didn't want people to feel that sympathy for me. Even though it is not a good thing for you not to have your dad in your life, but now I am thinking maybe if he were to be around, I would have been very relaxed in life. Maybe I would have been so complacent. Maybe I would have not been able to push hard to the level that I am today and want to be in the future.
Okay, so at any point in time, was there ever a reason given to you to calm you down, to make you understand, to help you see through what was going on? Was there any point in your life?
That is why I say I don't know what's going on with our fathers.
Did you ever ask your mom?
Because a lot happened during my childhood, by the way. A lot happened, which I just happened to be the victim of. And like I say, whenever I've had conversations with recently I had to like tell him how I felt and everything before I could fully let go. Whenever I had those conversations with him, he was like very indifferent about it. Like situations happened, it has happened, and you were a child, you wouldn't understand. But my whole point is, if I was a child and I wouldn't understand.
Now I'm an adult. How do you explain it?
Right.
Help me understand.
Tell me about it. What really happened? Because whatever happened was not an excuse for you to actually put me in that situation. Because at the end of the day, I suffered the blame and I didn't even ask to be here in the first place. So yeah, they never really accept responsibility. They're like, it happened, situations and all of that. So I believe it is up to yourself to actually choose to heal and forgive this person, because you're doing it for yourself. At the end of the day, life goes on for them.
Right.
And if you're not there, it does not really affect them so much.
So you mentioned healing and forgiveness. We're going to come back to that. But was there ever a point in your life where you made a certain decision that you regretted because it was as a result of an absentee father? Because I know as women, let me tell you something. I'll share a short story with you. First of all, when I moved to Ghana with my mom, my dad was still in Nigeria. And at some point, my friends were laughing at me, calling me a bastard, saying that I didn't have a father. And so it took a toll on me. And I used to cry a lot about it because my father was my best friend. I wasn't used to staying with my mom. And when things like that started happening, I realized my academics, I started declining. And my headmaster had to call my mom to school to let her know exactly what was going on. And she said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, "Because, I don't really have that kind of, relationship with you." And she was like, "No, you have to start talking to me about these things." So I asked her, I was like, "Are you and my father divorced?" She said, "No, we just had to move so that things would be easier for us as a family," because I grew up thinking they were divorced and it was already affecting me. And it goes on to show how divorce also affects children.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes as parents, when you're making decisions, when you're bringing in a child into this world, just don't be selfish to think that it's affecting just you. It's going to end up affecting the child. Now, the story I'm coming to is this. At a point, I felt when I lost my father, I went around in my relationships looking for somebody exactly like my father. And I made the wrong choices. I fell victim to so many people, and I was a victim in so many relationships because of the poor choices I made, thinking every man who was a little older, who was a little caring, was just like my father. And I was wrong. And that is why I'm asking, because we are not the only ones who have been through this. So have you ever made such a decision in your life?
I actually have similar stories. I think with your childhood, when your grades began to decline, when my family was perfect, I used to be the first in class and all of that. And after everything that happened, I think there was a time that we had to be traveling around. So I stayed out of school for a couple of terms and my academics greatly declined. And I remember BC, I didn't even do so well. And the same dad heard about my grades and he was saying a lot of things about it. Meanwhile, you were not even there. Like, you didn't even pay the school fees.
Yeah. So
you don't have the right
was even affecting you.
Right. And yeah, and then when it comes to the choices in men, I think your experience would be a little different from mine because you actually had a feel of how fathers actually are.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that because I was very young when everything happened. I can remember some of the incidents that happened, but I can't really tell the full story because it is not my story to tell when it comes to that aspect. But yeah, I have also made very poor choices in men because I started seeking validation. You know, it makes you feel like you're not enough. It makes you question your worth and even your appearance. Like you keep asking, why did my dad leave and
What
all
was
of
it
those.
about me? Why did
Right.
he reject me?
So
abandon me?
you begin to look for certain things in the man that you're with. And unfortunately for us in this generation, a lot of the men that are available to us are actually suffering the same fate.
Same thing, yeah.
Most of them, their dads are not in their life. So they don't really know how to manage their emotions well as well. And they end up treating us badly. And yeah, at the end of the day, you don't find what you're really looking for. And I think I would always hammer the fact that it has to take you to a level of maturity, a level where you actually learn and grow and you think more rationally. You see that maybe I like this person, but then you realize the patterns and you see that
Exactly. Patterns.
I am only liking this person because of these patterns, which is not really favorable for me. So I need to respect myself enough to get out of the situation. So recently there were two guys that were moving to me. One was very considerate, would always communicate and all of that. But for a funny reason, I was rather leaning into the one who was unavailable physically and emotionally.
No.
So you see, it took me to actually realize that, okay, this is the reason why I'm actually leaning into this person. But then I am old enough and matured enough to know that this person would not help me. So I should rather go for the other person for my good. Yeah. So
now let's talk about coping mechanisms and all of these. How did you deal with it? Were you quiet? Did you see a therapist? Did you talk to somebody? Did you pray? How did you cope?
okay, so I grew up with my grandmom, by the way, and I am almost 10 years older than my sister. And she didn't live with us. You know, it was a whole mess. So I practically grew up by myself because I was always at home alone. My grandmom did so much, may God bless her. She did so much, but then she would go to work at dawn and return in the evening. So she just left money and food for me for when I wake up, and she didn't even know if I went to school. You know, our grandmom are not so good with the availability when it comes to emotions and even physically. So if she even has to like talk to you about something, it wouldn't be so understanding.
Just provide and get on with our lives.
Right. Because your grandma would think, why are you depressed?
Yeah.
Are you not eating?
She doesn't understand
right. Are you not eating? You have a roof over your head. All of those things. So yeah, I practically grew up by myself because I was at home most of the time. There were times where I did not go to school genuinely. Grandma, if you are watching this, I'm sorry. I did not go to school. I locked myself in the room and watched TV all day because I did not have the energy to interact with people. And yeah, there were times where I did not have appetite. So all of these things really shaped my friendships and my relationships. I think till date, I find it so hard to constantly check on people, but I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah. May God
Healing
help
is a process.
us.
So
Right. And around that time, I mean, in Ghana, we don't take mental health seriously. So you wouldn't really think of going to a therapist or anything like
Yeah.
that, speaking to somebody about it. So my strategy was avoidance and isolation.
Oh no.
Yes. So whenever you see me pulling back and withdrawing, it means it was that time of the year or something triggered me and I have to stay by myself. And I was so emotional. I'm saying was because for now, I'm not so emotional about some of these things that I can freely talk about them. But back then, I was so emotional that if I open my mouth, I'll begin to cry. And I would rather not because I would want you to see me as strong and I wouldn't want you to have pity on me and see me crying and all of those
As
things.
a softie and then end up taking advantage of you.
Right. So yeah, I would just stay away, shut down, not speak to anybody. I would have my room dark and everything. And it was bad because if you're already depressed and you're still not in the midst of people and you are isolating yourself, it makes it worse. If you speak to a therapist, they'll tell you some coping mechanisms that are more healthier, like speaking to somebody, like listening to certain messages, certain podcasts,
even exercising,
right? Even dancing, listening to certain musics. Whenever you do something, you listen to certain things that will trigger you. Just avoid them. Even the food that we take and everything. And it finally took me to grow up to actually get into contact with a therapist, and she taught me a lot of things. Yeah, it even affected my sleep.
of course. So you mentioned healing and forgiveness. Have you forgiven your father? And have you healed?
Healing is a process, as already emphasized. I cannot sit here and say I have healed completely. There is no way because there are still times that I remember certain things that happened and I feel like it was unfair to me to have experienced those things. But I can say I've forgiven him because I'm not so emotional when I talk about it anymore. And my therapist actually advised me to have those conversations with him so I can feel better for me, not for him. Because as for him, he will say it's circumstance and what have you.
Do you ever think you can repair the relationship between you and your father? Even though you have forgiven him, would you actively repair the relationship?
This is a very good question. It can never be the same. Now that I am an adult, like I've gone through all stages of life, and those stages were the times that I really needed him, but it wasn't there. So I've grown to learn to live without him. So even though I can decide to be intentional about maybe checking up on him or something, it still wouldn't feel the same. It still wouldn't feel the same. And I think I've already made him know that it's difficult for me to relate with him because he has never been a father to me all these years. And all this forgiveness and healing only happened last year. So it's kind of recent. We don't know for the future. Maybe it may change. But from where I sit now, I really don't think it is possible.
Now, this is touching because I really want us to continue this conversation, but for lack of time, would have to end it here. But before we go, Ara, there's somebody out there who's also feeling the shame or the guilt of opening up to certain conversations as this. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them? They're also suffering with their estranged fathers, wanting to ask questions and have those questions answered, but there's nobody. There are some fathers who are not even picking up calls to even be accountable for leaving. At least just let the child know exactly why you left or what went wrong so that they can also find peace within themselves. What advice would you give to such people who are also struggling, who are where you once were?
I would say basically it is important you let it go because life moves on. if you're carrying the burden, it affects just you. At the end of the day, the person was already an adult when they made that decision to leave you. Maybe they would say it's circumstance, but it still affected you in those ways. And if you're able to let go, to heal, to talk to somebody, it will help you if you become very open about your journey and your story. It is for your own benefits and for the benefit of other people who may also benefit from your life story, because you never know who your story may touch. You never know the kind of way that it may touch the person, and they may actually decide to do something new about their life for themselves. So yeah, I think it's important that we become very open about our journey, talk to people, share your life experiences, and most importantly, heal. 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 Like forgive them. Forgive them. I can't emphasize this enough. It only took me last year to realize this, and it was around the time that it looked like a lot of things around me and people around me were hinting to the fact that it was about time I had to let go. And so that was what happened for me. And I'm glad I had a therapist by then to help me through it all. I can sit here today and say I'm not so emotional as I used to be. I'm not so easily triggered. I'm not as depressed as I was, but it was a journey. It took me 20 something years. It
It's
took
not
me
a one day
20
wonder.
something years
It's not.
to get there. But maybe it could be shorter for you when you begin to take these decisions faster and you learn faster. Yeah.
And now in 2 minutes, in just 2 minutes,
Okay.
to the fathers absent and present, what would you also want to say to them? What would you want to say about the power of their presence in our lives, especially as women?
So
And of course, please, we will come to the men as well. We'll have a session called He Inspires with RSM. Okay, so Rago.
yeah, it's very important we do. So to our fathers who were already not in our lives and we've grown up, me, I don't have anything to say to them. I mean, right. If you decide to come back now that the person is an adult, don't come and be demanding certain things from them because you have never been there. So it will be difficult for them to immediately start calling you maybe father or relating to you in that way. I mean, for now, certain things have become normalized, like calling somebody daddy and mommy is kind of normal. So maybe it wouldn't hurt that much, but it will still take time. So those fathers that weren't there and now we are adults and you are coming to demand certain things from us, you yourself, let me ask you,
Why?
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 Why? Are you happy with yourself?
Oh.
Are you happy with yourself?
Imagine having such a beautiful, established young lady for a
Clark
daughter.
it.
You know, and then you abandon her.
Right. And funny enough, all those men that do that have very successful children. That's why I'm saying maybe if that didn't happen, you wouldn't have been able to push yourself to that limit. So it is what it is.
Now,
If
can
you
we
decide
appreciate
to
the present fathers?
the present fathers, hi daddy,
Take your flowers.
take your flowers. You guys are doing so well. Like you have no idea how much it means to the child when you're in their life and when they actually grow up having a relationship with you. Because it's not just about you being there. It's about you actually having a bond with your child. I go online and I see our fathers doing better. I think this generation of fathers are actually doing better.
I think
let's applaud
they're
them.
TikTok fathers too.
Yes, they're actually doing better. And I've spoken to men my age who actually want to take responsibility and be there for their children and their future children. And it's beautiful to see and hear. I think we are healing. We are getting there. We are getting there. But for our old fathers, It's all good.
Repent.
It's all good. Yeah, the mood dynamic, why? We are forgiving you.
Repent.
But it's up to God
Yeah.
to say maybe it is true that it was circumstance.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, fortunately for all of us, God is a loving God, and He will definitely forgive us all, regardless of whatever you do. Even your housemate, you cannot pray for God to kill them. God loves everybody.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. All right. This brings us to the end of the show today. This is She Inspires with RSM, and this was a Rabbinah's episode. To all the fathers out there, you mean a lot to us. And to the young men who also want to be fathers, just know that before you bring a child onto this earth, it is no longer going to be about you when they come. It is about them for a certain period. Okay, because once they hit 18, 20, then they start locking up their rooms and I need my privacy, I need my privacy. Then you know that your job is done. Really. But sometimes your job really isn't, even in their 30s, because my mom still takes care of me to some extent. But it's just beautiful to have you in our lives. So please, let's all try and do better and avoid all the negative talks on social media that says men are to blame for this, women are to blame for this. Yes, we accept all the blame. Men have their own issues, women have their own issues. But the bottom line now is that we all come together and fix our issues together as men and as women. And this is us doing our part of the fixing. So we also hope that you join us. Feel free to subscribe. If you haven't done that, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment. Forgive and heal. This comment, forgive and heal, in the comment section. And we'll see you in the next video.